It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, ends up. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
What's going on? Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. A lot going on. A very newsy day. It became official after we got off the air. We knew it was going to happen, but it became official yesterday with Ryan Odom going to VCU. Where does Utah State go from here? Jason, you've put together a list of potential candidates and targets for the Aggies. Also today, really interesting press conference. Josh Davis, the redshirt freshman wide receiver who collapsed 1 week ago today with a cardiac event, walked into the press conference under his own power and held a press conference with his parents and a few other USU officials. Jason, you were there. We'll talk about that. Some interesting things are coming out of that presser earlier today, which was broadcast live here on The Fan earlier this morning. If you missed it, we've got it on our podcast feed on 1069thefan.com. And it's the start of baseball. I mean, you look outside here and it doesn't look like it's baseball weather, but today is the official start of baseball. So a lot going on. Jazz played last night, updated standings. We'll get into all of that. But been a busy day, Jason, and I think we're going to have a few more busy days as Utah State tries to figure out what's going on with their basketball team and their coaching staff.
Yeah, I very much anticipate having more articles on the docket about, coaches getting hired. I've already got like 3 or 4 articles just sitting that I need to, finish. Some of them have to wait because they're, can't publish it yet. I'm working on one article. I'm going to piece together kind of the timeline, from some of the stuff we learned today they talked about in the press conference with Josh Davis. I'll be putting that together. Didn't have enough time to finish it today. I'll probably finish it maybe tonight, tomorrow morning. So I'll kind of put it all together in one kind of cohesive, kind of feature-style article. We'll be able to put everything in line, all the different players, all the different scenarios. Blake Anderson's perspective, Jerry Bovee, Josh Davis's parents, Josh Davis himself, Mike Williams, a bunch of other these people involved, all kind of wrapping their perspectives all into one whole on what was a very crazy Thursday. A week ago today.
Yeah.
Probably close down to the minute was about now that Josh Davis would have collapsed on Merlin Olsen Field. So crazy week for him. The fact that he was able to stand up and give some statements in that press conference it's very good news, especially given how close he got to death. He and death stood face to face for a second.
Yeah, and we talked about how last week was an illustration of Blake Anderson's leadership, and it was interesting hearing him talk today about some personal experiences that happened in his life, which helped him be able to do what he could in that situation and still be a coach. Because for those who missed it, he talked about how his father suffered a heart attack a couple years back. People were performing CPR on him, and his father later told Blake, because he came out of it, he survived that initial heart attack. But he told Blake, I could hear people around me. I knew what was going on. I could hear them. I just couldn't respond or communicate to them. So that personal experience helped Blake be there for Josh on the field, coaching him to fight and to stay alive. And because he had that experience in his life with his father, and he wanted to be able to do the same for Josh.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that did their jobs incredibly well. You talk about Blake Anderson not being in his element in terms of medical expertise and being able to save Josh, medically speaking. But yeah, his own past experiences did give him some level of control where he was able to help both Josh and then the team. Being able to turn around once Josh was loaded into the ambulance, turn around and go talk to the team and not break down and fall to the intense pressure of the situation. He stood up under that pressure.
Yeah, and then the story from Mike Williams, head trainer for USU, who we had on in January to talk about Damar Hamlin's situation and how that was a familiar situation for Utah State with what Danny Berger went through. And here it goes again. He and his staff, once again, dealing with the situation, but they were trained, they knew what to do, and they knew where the equipment was, and were able to jump into action quickly. And another factor that helped save Josh Davis's life.
Yeah, Mike Williams is batting 1,000 on lives saved among Utah State athletics. He's becoming very experienced. So I don't want to make too many jokes, but imagine the next time. I hope there isn't a next time. Might be able to have a cup of coffee while he's in the middle of saving the next person's life.
Well, and it was interesting hearing him talk about it, his perspective with what happened last time. It really served as a wake-up call to not just athletic departments, but all departments on campus at Utah State. And I remember they went down to the legislature and they had multiple opportunities to educate people in just how important these devices are and how they should be readily available or easy to find. And found it interesting how he talked about how now there are multiple devices around campus at Utah State, 2 in every building. I think is what he said.
I think he said at least 1 in every building, probably 2. I forget exactly how he worded that, but enough that so long as people are trained on it, and maybe those who potentially pass by them, a lot of times they're in public places and they're just sitting there, and you can, you'll pass by and you may not notice them all the time, but maybe the first or second time you pass by them, there's AED. And obviously staff and all that should be trained to know where they are, and in some cases maybe trained to use them. And so when you have that all set up, it becomes a safety net. Because as Josh Davis says, that CPR and also the use of that device saved his life. Ambulance and paramedics aren't going to show up fast enough in that situation. They can't teleport. They have to respond to the call, run to the ambulance, start it up, drive up. Josh might have already been dead at that point. But the CPR and all the different medical devices, and obviously the fact that Mike Williams and the whole staff were capable of using them, got to them quickly, and saved a man's life. That's the end of the day. That's what this is a story of. This is a story of how a man's life was saved, and the people who did it. And so it's a great story, and it's one that I'm glad we were able to talk about, and in some cases joke around a little bit, and just be able to be happy at the fact that someone is alive after a very scary brush with death.
Jerry Bovee kind of led things off with his experience of getting the notifications and what continued to transpire over the following days. Interesting situation for him and to kind of lead things off, but be in the middle of all this. And there's I want to see if we can find it right. I know we've got a lot of clips to get through today.
Yeah, I put through quite a few of them.
But it's good. Just want to see. I don't know if this will.
Which one are you looking for?
Have the piece that I'm looking for specifically.
The part where he got the text, or
just how you feel like they are kind of the students are kind of in their care when they're away from their parents. I don't know if we got that one.
I think it's part of one of the clips. I don't know if I could tell you which. Maybe I should have been over there. Here, let me see. You look for it real quick.
No, it's okay. We've got a lot. I'm sure we'll come across it. But
maybe I'll point it out to you during a break.
Yeah. Well, and we're just summarizing right now. But in summary, basically, he felt he and Blake Anderson felt the responsibility to stay with Josh during this whole ordeal until his parents could arrive. because they were in California and they had to try to arrange transportation to get here. And so they went down to the hospital and they were hanging out, even though doctors and medical professionals were telling them you don't need to be here. But they felt kind of a responsibility, really, to kind of watch over a student, a young man who is on their campus, who they kind of feel a responsility for. Yeah, that again shows some of the leadership going on up at Utah State.
Yeah, they end up feeling a bit of a parental role. Blake Anderson especially, and Jerry Bovee. I know he's not day to day. Wouldn't have known Josh Davis very well at all, aside from maybe meeting him. But certainly, in that sense, he's going to feel some sense of responsibility, even if he doesn't know Josh personally, because it's his charge. That's a young man that Josh's parents sent him off with the hope that Jerry Bovee would take care of him, at least on an administrative level.
Right.
And in that moment, Jerry felt more than an administrative responsibility, a personal responsibility. You kind of end up taking on that fatherly role. It's like, we don't want to leave him. We don't want him to be alone with only, medical personnel around him. We want somebody. We want a familiar face around.
Yeah.
And at one point, Josh actually woke up for half a second. I don't know if that was before or after his parents had arrived. They didn't arrive until Friday. All from 4 o'clock Thursday until early Friday morning, way early in the morning. It was Josh and Blake and then Jerry. Obviously training staff was there as well.
Yeah. And I believe Blake Anderson's wife was there through part of it as well. But here's what Jerry Bovee had to say about Blake Anderson, just kind of the leadership that he displayed during all of those events that transpired starting on Thursday.
Coach Anderson, it's tough to be a football coach in today's world, and yet in those moments, he did what he does best. He was right there by his side. It was a tough situation. It was emotional, and yet as soon as Josh was secure and put in the ambulance and sent down to Logan Regional Hospital, he had to pivot into being a head coach, and he'll talk a little bit about that. But his leadership and kind of typifying what was most important that day came out. We shut everything down, and it was about Josh. And I'm grateful for his leadership and the way that he conducted himself, because it starts at the top. How we act, what we do, and what our focus is on comes out in moments like this.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how the university handled it and quickly responded and then dealt with its aftermath. I did find the clip we're looking for. Just impressed by this, just how there's that responsibility, not just from Coach Anderson, but also Jerry Bovee himself, to kind of watch over one of their student athletes until his parents could be there.
Coach and I were at 3 a.m. We're down there early Friday morning, and everyone kept saying, "You can leave. I got this. Everybody can leave." Kendra was there. Nobody wanted to leave because until Mom and Dad showed up, we felt the responsibility to be there for Josh.
Yeah. I mean, crazy 7 days. But especially in those first few days, those first hours, saved a boy's life, a young man's life. And impressive how people jumped into action quickly and did what they could in a situation. Cool heads prevailed here.
Yeah, and ultimately, it becomes a story of how people come together very quickly when people are in need. It's just something we do, no matter the cost. We just go out and we help people. And you stop thinking of yourself, and you stop thinking of all the small little things that are part of your life, and begin focusing on the person who needs help. That's why it's just part of being human, and it's part of humanity and civilization. We look out for each other.
Mike Williams gave a little bit of, without going into a lot of detail, but said that Josh, this player, had a medical issue about a year ago and gave them, I don't know if we want to say a scare, but had an issue, and but he had been cleared to resume football activities, but he had some history, and this is a head trainer, Mike Williams, kind of talking about that.
It was similar. He fell over and had a seizure type episode. Was never classified as a seizure. We did a full cardiac workup, had him see specialists, came back that everything was normal. So he later got cleared after 3 or 4 weeks to be back out at football.
So, yeah, he'd had a moment a year ago, had a seizure, collapsed. They ran him through a battery of tests, checked his heart and a few other things, and he was ultimately cleared to resume football activities, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to resume football activities this time.
Yeah, last time they just figured it happened and it was a bit of a scare, but he walked off the field. He was fine afterward. He was going off under his own power. They went and tried to find a cause, and they never did find one. Still haven't found a cause for this latest one, or obviously the previous one. They don't know what's wrong. But given that that this is now a history and a trend, for now it does seem like Josh Davis isn't going to play football again.
And that's what the doctors are telling him, and this is what he had to say about that himself.
So as far as the doctors that I've talked to, the short answer for playing football in the future is probably not. But I'm kind of not really worried about that right now. Kind of just taking it slow, taking it day by day, and we'll see what happens in the future. But obviously, as Coach said, I'm always going to be grateful to be a part of this Aggie family. And so I'm definitely going to be around the team and have jobs to do with the team, and always involved with the team. So, yeah.
The one hope that Josh Davis would have in terms of playing football is that it doesn't appear that either injury was football related. I should say injury. Either incident was football related.
Yeah, whereas like DeMar Hamlin, he got hit in the chest.
Yeah.
With somebody's helmet.
Yeah, and even that was a freak accident. He'll
right.
play football again. You know, it's not like some cases where it's just, exertion can cause this. Unless the doctors say that exertion is causing this, which, Josh Davis was warming up. They haven't even started practice. They hadn't even started hitting each other yet. So there may be some hope in that regard. And that's why the term they used was a non-traumatic cardiac arrest, which had a little bit of fun in the press conference over the term non-traumatic, given how actually traumatic this situation was. But the reason they said that is because he wasn't hit.
Right.
DeMar Hamlin, that was a traumatic cardiac arrest.
For those around and saw the situation, were in the middle of it. Yes, it was traumatic to them emotionally, but from a physical standpoint,
yeah,
different classification.
Yeah, it's just medical terminology, and they have obviously specific ways to word things so that they understand what's going on and can communicate properly. So that was the term non-traumatic cardiac arrest or cardiac incident. I forget the full term they put in the release, but I guess that's the one hope. But the thing is, when you have two events like this, maybe you don't want to, test your luck, because maybe it is related to the fact that he's playing football. Both times it happened, he was playing football. So there's a common denominator there, and at that point, maybe you don't want to test it.
We got a lot more on this, a lot more comments from Josh Davis, Blake Anderson. Davis's parents spoke and participated. Really generous gesture from his father, talking about trying to create an endowment to help and support the medical staff moving forward, the medical trainers for USU. We'll get into all that. Love to get your thoughts, your comments on the situation. I know a lot of you still curious and want to know about basketball, the coaching situation at Utah State. It's official. Ryan Odom is gone, and Aggie's looking for a replacement. And so we'll continue to talk about that. Look at the Utah Jazz and the NBA standings with just a little bit of time left. The big win, well, one person had a great big game last night for the Jazz, But continue to look at that as well. And we've got some high school spring sports that we're going to be broadcasting later tonight. We'll give you the details on that as well. All coming up, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Girls, insist he take you to Jarek's. Picking out your wedding ring is an experience you will never forget. Come to a place where the mood is right and the setting is perfect for romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan. The perfect collection of memorable designs, classic creation, and modern marvels. If you want an intimate, romantic experience you will never forget, then insist he takes you to Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. What happens when an appliance breaks down and the cost of the repair is more than the appliance value? You're stuck with a service call charge at most places, not at Daryl's. With our exclusive Under One Roof loyalty program, we discount the service call diagnostic charge when you decide to buy new from us instead of the repair. That's the Daryl's difference, because service always comes first. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
As a small business, achieving your financial goals and ambitions can be a steep and rocky mountain to climb. This is Brett Green, president of Cache Valley Bank. To conquer this mountain and achieve your goals, it takes planning, hard work, and discipline. At Cache Valley Bank, we have the resources, expertise, and flexibility to help you scale your way to success. Give us a call. Let's work together and climb the mountains that await. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Nothing compares to the warmth and feel that a wood stove provides. The two-time Best of Northern Utah winning team says there's never been a better time to replace your old inefficient wood stove and install a new energy-efficient EPA-certified Vermont casting wood product in your home. The U.S. government is offering federal tax credits of 26% on your wood stove install for Vermont casting units that includes stoves, venting, and labor. Call or email Advanced Fireplace and Stove for a free in-home estimate. Call 435-752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
This is a celebration of what matters most, and we're really grateful that Josh is with us. Josh, no matter what happens in his football career, Josh is always going to be an Aggie. I'll never forget last Thursday. As long as I live, it will be one of those things that in my short book that I write one day, it'll be a major chapter of gratitude and success for how our staff worked.
That's Jerry Bovee opening the press conference today, saying, this is a celebration, and it's rightfully so. Celebration of life, celebration of preparedness, a celebration of being able to fight and to do what you can to, even though you may feel powerless in some ways, there's still things that you can do. And that was echoed many times from Josh, his parents, Bovee, even Blake, talking about Coach Anderson, talking about how there were, they may not have had the medical expertise. There were still things that they all did and chipped in to try to help.
Yeah, there were a lot of thank yous to go around from everyone. Thankful to the medical staff, the doctors, the coaches, and a lot of gratitude to God.
Yeah.
For just everything that happened, and then the fact that everything ended up going in a positive direction. You never want to have somebody go through this kind of incident, but it happened. But everything turns out all right. The worst part about this is, young man's not going to be able to play football, but that's a small thing to give up if for a chance to live the rest of your life.
Right, to still be living. And we've referenced this before, but this was interesting to hear Jerry Bovee talk about Mike Williams having called on to save a student athlete's life once again. Something that he did about a decade ago with Danny Berger.
It is kind of strange that Mike has been trained at Danny Berger's here today, and we can retell that story too. But Mike got a little practice in that situation, has been through this, and that training that they go through kicked in, and ultimately what these three to my left did saved Josh's life. And I'll be forever grateful for that. You'll hear from Mom and Dad shortly, and I know that they're grateful for that. But that's what we do. We're in the people business. We're in the human business. And when it all comes down to it, it becomes about love.
Interesting, Danny Berger was there in attendance.
Yeah, he was. I got to go up and say hi or really introduce myself. I have spoken to him over the internet once before, but yeah, he was there briefly, and he was talking with Josh beforehand. Initially, I didn't recognize him. I just noticed there was a 6'8" guy in the room. I was like, who's that? And then I was like, oh, Danny Berger's. Oh, yeah, that really tall guy that was here. Okay, that's Danny. Because I've not seen him for 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time since I've seen him in person. But, yeah, there's two people in the room that Mike Williams saved. So, certainly interesting for him. As we've said, he's getting pretty good at this. Or he's already pretty good at this, to be honest.
Yeah. Very true. Wanted to play some of the statements from the parents. This is, certainly not any kind of news any parent wants to be able to get, that your son or your daughter, who's hundreds of miles away, has an incident and life-threatening, and you can't be there to be with them. To hold their hand or coach them through it or to offer support, and to feel somewhat powerless in the moment. So first we're going to hear from Josh Davis's mom, Chrissy, followed by his dad, Matt. And some of the things that they said today, some of the gratitude that they shared and the feelings that they had to go through on trying to get to Utah and put their trust in other people until they could get there in person to help out. So, again, first Chrissy Davis, followed by Matt Davis.
I just wanted to say, obviously, a quick thank God for this miracle, and thank you guys so much. I can't thank everybody so much. Words can't express it. And I just also want to say thank you to all the people that have been saying prayers and sending support in their love, our family and our friends. We have so many people back home that are taking care of our daughter and just reaching out to us, and everyone here and at all the medical staff and our family and friends, just thank you.
I just wanted to say a quick thank you kind of to the extended Aggie family. When we were in the hospital, it was amazing how many people either called, emailed, came to visit. We had alumni, we had coaches, we had other students, teammates. It was just amazing. Each time they walked in, it kind of brightened Josh up, and it was just unbelievable. And when you send your first kid away to college, it's always a little nerve-wracking, and then when it's an athlete, it's even more. So you're always worried, who's watching them, who's taking care of them. And I can say to anybody that's watching this, that's not something you have to worry about at Utah State. It was unbelievable what everyone did. The communication, as you've heard, we had to get here from California, so people were saying, okay, when you land, call us. Right before you take off, call us. We'll give you an update. And the communication the whole way out here, those few hours when we were traveling out here was unbelievable. And then kind of as a thank you to these people right here, we're making a donation to the Utah State Sports Medicine Team in honor and recognition of Mike, Kendra, and Brady. We hope anyone watching this will consider also making a gift in support. And our goal is to use these gifts in an endowment in recognition of Mike, Kendra, and Brady that will provide funding to the USU Sports Medicine Team for years to come. I think Doug's got an info with a website that he can share, but that's what we're hoping is we can grow this into an endowment that goes on for years in their name. So, thank you.
Wow, what a gesture to recognize, not just to say, thanks for saving our son, but, doing something, put your money where your mouth is and say thank you in a way that can help other student athletes and others on campus, really, to recover from injuries or other life-threatening situations that could occur.
Yeah, ultimately, there's not really a way to pay back this kind of debt, where Josh Davis literally owes his life to a number of people, certainly the training staff and also the doctors who helped him out. And that's not a debt you can really pay back. Granted, it's not a debt most people want to be paid back on because, it's paid by the fact that Josh Davis will be alive. And that's the payment they want. But ultimately, gratitude can come in many ways, and this is one of them. And it's not only a gratitude to, you're paying money so the university can benefit from that, but it's the kind of gratitude that you're paying it forward. What about the next young man or young woman who suffers some kind of episode, be it an athlete or be it somebody, on campus? This is the kind of thing that can save somebody else's life.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying thank you, not just the university of, I can't pay you back, but here's a little bit, and that little bit is going to potentially help somebody else because it'll go towards training. It'll go towards helping other people know how to potentially save somebody's life. Train them on where an AED is. Train them on, the fastest way to get help for somebody.
Right. Or maybe even the latest in supplies and technology, too.
Yeah. And so it'll be potentially the difference between life and death because in these situations, the margins are small. And you've got to be ready for it. In back-to-back cases, Utah State has been perfectly ready for it. But the thing is, that's not always going to be the case. You need constant vigilance. And, this kind of money is something that can help them do that because they can continue to train, continue to be ready. As you said, maybe get updated equipment because you get better and better equipment almost every year. And so at some point you got to upgrade because then that might be the difference between life and death for somebody.
I wanted to get some comments from Coach Blake Anderson. They were starting practice outside. Looked like it was a nice day to be outside, even though there'd been some inclement weather here and there, but it was going to be a nice day on Merlin Olsen Field. Early on in spring practice, it only had a few practices to date, so the team was coming together, trying to get familiar with everybody and get going. And early on in practice, this event happens, and this is Coach Blake Anderson kind of recollecting the events that transpired that Thursday afternoon.
It's one of those days you never want to see happen. It's anytime you see a guy go down, it really doesn't matter what takes him down. You don't want to see a guy go down. And in this case, as soon as I knew it was Josh, based off of the seizure that he had a year ago, immediately was very, very concerned that here we go again. And Josh kept saying that in the hospital as I talked to him after he came to and he was back to himself a little bit. He was struggling with remembering, and we had the same conversation about 100 times, Mom shaking her head, because if it wasn't me he was asking Mom or Dad or whoever was close, now what happened? And you mean just like last time? So when I saw him go down, I was hoping and praying that it was similar to last year, just kind of a mild seizure opportunity. And he came back from it so quickly and was able to walk off the field and go kind of get checked out. And as you guys will learn, he went through a whole battery of tests a year ago to make sure he was okay. We didn't find what the cause was, hoping that was the last time we'd ever be dealing with a seizure, but it wasn't. And on Thursday, this time his body responded differently. And we had a completely different, emergency on our hands.
Emotional situation, no doubt.
Yeah, you can hear it in his voice, the emotion, coming back to him. And so it was not an easy situation for anybody, especially not for Blake, where the onus of leadership falls on him. He's got to be the person that stands up. There's a lot of people who they didn't know what to do. All they could do was stand there. And there were a lot of players who were just floored by it. I mean, as I was there 10, 20 minutes after Josh had left, there were players who were just sitting there. They didn't know how to handle the situation. Now, luckily, it's not, up to them, and they didn't have to be depended on, so they had the luxury of being able to do that. Blake didn't have that luxury. He couldn't just sit on his hands and do nothing. I mean, maybe he could have. Wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, but it's not the type of person he is.
Yeah. And so he was up and at him. He was doing anything and everything he could do. And he did it. And it helped a lot of young men, not just Josh, but the entire team.
All right, another timeout here in the Full Court Press. Just a few more things I want to get through on this. I know we've got some other questions that are coming through on the text line. We will get to those, but the big news of the day today, great to hear Josh Davis just be able to be in person and hold a press conference with his parents, walking around, people clapping and cheering on in his recovery. Is on a good path. And the medical staff and trainers at Utah State jumping in and doing their job, things they are trained to do, and saved a life. Definitely significant news today, and grateful to hear that. If you want to hear the full press conference in its entirety, you can find it on our website and our podcast feed. It's on 1069thefan.com.
Looking for a stable career with great pay, benefits, and positive work environment? This is Scotty with Homestead Cabinets in Hiram. We produce high-quality, state-of-the-art custom cabinetry and are looking for employees who want to become skilled craftsmen. Work Monday through Friday with weekends off. Wages start at $16 per hour with opportunities for growth as you gain experience. Benefits include daily free breakfast, monthly profit sharing, as well as great health insurance. Homestead is a company that values its employees. They emphasize growth of the individual as well as the company. Go to homesteadcabinet.net and apply today.
Thank you for being a part of the Best of Northern Utah competition. The 2023 contest has turned into one of the largest promotions this area has ever seen. As most of you probably noticed, the Best of Northern Utah website experienced technical issues on the last day of voting, and this issue has been resolved, but a portion of the final day for voting was missed. In an effort to make up for a lost voting opportunity, voting will be extended through Thursday, March 30th at 5 p.m. Again, voting for Best of Northern Utah has been extended through Thursday, March 30th at 5. Take advantage and vote today at bestofnorthernutah.com.
Elements Restaurant has something new and exciting to share. If you like barbecue, you're going to love Thursday's Brews and Barbecue at Elements. Mouth-watering smoked brisket, perfectly seasoned and slow-cooked for hours. Your taste buds will say thank you. Try the brisket sandwich served with coleslaw or brisket plate complete with Southwest mac and cheese and coleslaw. Don't miss Brews and Barbecue for lunch or for dinner with live in-house music every Thursday at Elements Restaurant next to Spring Hill Suites on the south end of Logan, or call 750-5171 for reservations.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
Nothing beats March Madness. The pure sound of a swish, the rattle of a slam dunk, the fans on their feet for the big moments. And the action just keeps getting better until a national champion is crowned. Hear all the action with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of this year's NCAA tournament, right here.
Catch all the action of March Madness on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, online at 1069thefan.com or the Fan mobile app.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
There's still about 20 minutes to go. If you still want one more chance to vote in the Best of Northern Utah contest, voting was extended today because there were some technical issues with our third-party provider yesterday. But voting is still open until 5 o'clock this afternoon. So there's still time. If you haven't voted today, log on and let your voice be heard. bestofnorthernutah.com. Voting closes at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So big moment today. Great to see Josh Davis walking around, the redshirt freshman wide receiver from Carlsbad, California. And 1 week ago, to about the moment, maybe plus 30 minutes or so, he collapsed on the field as Utah State football was getting ready for a Thursday afternoon practice on Merlin Olsen Field, and life-saving events were transpired with the medical staff. They got an AED device and were able to save his life, get him transported to Logan Regional Hospital, and then with a medical helicopter transported to McKay-Dee in Ogden. And this Mike Williams had a similar situation where Danny Berger, with basketball in practice, had a cardiac event. And similarly, knew where the AED device was that was recently made available, and saved his life. And this is Mike Williams talking about having that device nearby and how the role it played in saving Josh Davis.
We keep it on the field. We keep all that stuff. All of our emergency stuff is on the field with us. So it was. I mean, when he went down, Kender was right there. I was probably 10, 15 yards away. So and the AED was within 50 yards. I don't know exactly how long that took. We were busy with other things, but the advantage of having staff there, kind of like with Danny, a student manager, knew what it was because we had trained him, and he had actually had other training as well. So as soon as he went down, he went and got it. And here, the same thing. Brady ran and grabbed it as soon as he went down. So we keep all that stuff out on the field with us.
Yeah, probably the most important 50-yard dash for that individual's life. But
yeah.
But that's it's important to have those close. They had them close by. So this is a story not only of life and saving men's life, but the fact that everyone was prepared. And that's the themes going through this whole thing is about 1,001 thank yous, 1,001 thank goodness we were prepared for this. We were prepared for this type of emergency, and the competency of basically everyone involved. From Josh Davis fighting for his life to Blake Anderson, to the training staff, to the medical staff, to the hospital staff, to everyone. Everyone involved got an A grade for this with how they performed their job.
You've heard us describe it earlier in the hour, but I wanted you to hear it from Coach Anderson's own words about the experience of his father having a heart attack and receiving CPR. Helped him perform an important role in what took place 1 week ago.
I think about Thursday in a few different ways. Number one, how hard he fought. The entire time that the trainers and the medical professionals were working on him, he never quit. He never quit. And had he quit, we'd be having a different conversation. So he wanted to fight, and as long as he was fighting, Kendra and I were going to be right there yelling at him and screaming at him to fight. My dad had a heart attack years ago. As they were doing CPR on my father, he told me, I could hear your mom. I could hear Don Beard, who was the EMT doing work on him. I could hear them talking to me. I couldn't speak. I couldn't respond, but I heard every word. And in the back of my mind, I could just remember my dad telling me the story. He felt the presence of Christ, and he felt the warmth of my mom and a good friend doing CPR on him, and he could hear them speaking, but he couldn't respond. So I knew Josh couldn't respond, but I wasn't going to quit. He would try to look at us, and he would continue to fight. And so I don't know if he'll ever really know, if it ever come to him, but I wasn't going to give up on him.
Great lessons for all of us, really. Remember that counsel of if we may not know the medical expertise, at least we can do is try to encourage and try to get them to fight or to stay alive, fight for your life.
Yeah. Well, something you brought up is the fact that Blake Anderson has had tragedy following him, but in some ways, tragedy had prepared him for this. A previous close call where he learned from those experiences, and he used those experiences to benefit the people around him, whether good or bad. And so, again, it's just another feather in Anderson's cap.
Yeah, one other thing that he said, just in Josh Davis kind of alluded to this as well, but they're going to find ways to keep Josh Davis a part of the team. He will still be a part of what is going on at Utah State. Even though he may not be able to play on the field, he is still a player on the team, but in some different ways. We don't know exactly what that's going to entail, but Blake Anderson, Jerry Bovee, they made that very clear that Josh Davis still has a role with this team.
Josh's life is going to change moving forward, but he's still going to be part of our family. And if they tell him he can never run or pass route again or catch another ball, we'll find something else for him to do. And I know he's going to be successful regardless. Same reason he got up off the turf and beat every deadline they gave us over the course of the weekend. Same reason he's going to continue to be successful. So.
Yeah, I hope that he finds something to do. Obviously, his football career may be over, But for now, he's still an Aggie. That was reiterated by Bovee and Anderson. He's going to be an Aggie. He's going to be part of the football team, and they'll find things for him to do, and he'll adjust. And yeah, he was very much a fighter. When push came to shove, he shoved back.
Yes, he did, and showed a lot of appreciation for that.
First of all, it's been a crazy week, much of which I don't have much recollection of. So I first just want to thank God for the opportunity to be here standing in front of you guys today. Exactly a week ago, I was lying on the field fighting for my life, and now I'm able to walk into this room and talk to all of you, so I'm just very blessed to be here. First of all, I want to thank all of the EMTs and emergency staff at the Logan Hospital, as well as at the IC unit and cardiac department at McKay-D in Ogden. They were all absolutely amazing, as these guys have said, so very blessed for those guys. Next, I want to thank my head coach, Coach A, as well as the entire football staff. Coach A was by my side from the time I went down to the time my parents arrived from Carlsbad. He wouldn't let me give up. He was yelling at me to fight and praying I would survive. And once I was in the hospital, he stayed right by my bed until my family arrived. So I'm very grateful. Next and most importantly, I want to thank our trainers, really our entire training staff, but our head trainers, Mike, Kendra, and Brady. Without the three of them, I really would not be here today. There's no question they truly saved my life. Every doctor I've spoken to during the last week said that the CPR 110% saved my life, so I'm very grateful for them. I can't thank you guys enough, and I'll never forget what you guys did for me. You always have a special place in my heart and in my life, so thank you.
And one last thing, if it was neat, just and I can't remember if it was his mom or his dad, but just thanking Aggie Nation everywhere, and just those who came by and shared their support, whether it was there in the hospital or reached out in different ways. Players came by to visit with him over the weekend and spend time with him earlier this week, and just others just around the country really kind of showing their support and finding ways to lift him up and reach out and check in on him. So great moment, great celebration of life today, which could have been a very scary situation for this football team. No telling what the emotions would be like today if things would have gone in a different direction. But happy to be able to report and share the news today and hear it from the coach and the player, his parents, Mike Williams, Jerry Bovee, a lot of people that were involved in this and very close to the situation as it unfolded initially and then in the recovery since then. So, again, if you want to hear the full podcast, the full press conference, it's available on our podcast feed on 1069thefan.com. Quick timeout, and start to shift some topics, but always, if you want to chime in on this, we'd love to hear from you. 435-339-0321.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. At White Pine, we value compassion, integrity, and service. We are committed to serving you and treating your family as our family. We will be here when you need us most, to listen, to help, and to provide exactly what your circumstances require. At White Pine, we promise to dedicate our time and attention to you and your family. We invite you to come by and meet us. We're confident you'll feel a difference.
It's never too late or too cold to get rid of that old vehicle. Now is the time to earn extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
This year, celebrate your anniversary with diamond jewelry from S.A. Needham Jewelers. Adorned in diamonds, she will feel elegant and cherished. Choose from a large selection of diamond bands, diamond pendants, and diamond earrings. Also, you'll enjoy a beautiful selection of diamonds mounted in rose gold. We price our diamond jewelry with an integrity price guarantee so that you can be assured the best possible value. With 12 months interest-free financing available. For the people and occasions that matter most. S.A. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number one in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Well, the breaking news that we all didn't know we needed to hear. A jury has decided that Gwyneth Paltrow was not at fault for a collision that took place at Deer Valley Resort back in 2016.
Something that you've been following very, very, very closely.
Oh my gosh. I am so glad this is over.
The only trial I sort of got kind of involved in was the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Oh.
But there were people who were like way more into it than me. Like me, I'd see it on Twitter and be like, oh, any updates? And then, the verdict. And I was like, okay. But like, I don't know. Sometimes there's more. There's some other trials that have been going on that I've been kind of following a little bit. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Getting super involved in something like this where it's like, okay, it's a celebrity and somebody else, and I mean, granted, I only know what you just barely told me.
Because she's a celebrity.
Yeah, you just told me. I had seen something that she was involved in a trial. I didn't even realize she was involved in a trial till a couple days ago when I saw it on Twitter or maybe on some social media site, and then you mentioned there was a verdict, and I was like, oh. So I only know what you told me like 30 seconds ago, right before we came on break, or off break. So, but I guess. Congrats to her, I guess. You don't have to pay out money that you don't really need anyway.
I know.
But, she does a lot of weird stuff anyway. I know
Yeah. That's true. Anyway. Hey, thanks for hanging with us during our coverage of the Josh Davis situation. I know there's a lot that you want to discuss what's going on with Utah State basketball. We will get to that. We'll spend a lot more time on that next hour. But this was a big deal. It's a celebration of life today. Celebration of those who did the little things in preparation that don't always seem exciting, or sometimes you may doubt their importance, but you do them anyway, because in the moment when it happens, you just have to act on instinct. And so it was great lessons for all of us, and great lessons about fighting and hanging in there and encouraging others, examples of leadership that took place. So exciting to see that come together and to hear it unfold earlier today, and took place at Utah State. And I was curious about how many people were up there today for the press conference.
There were a decent amount. There were, I think, 4 different reporters, beat writers from around basically all the major outlets. Salt Lake stations were up there with video cameras, or at least freelance people that are up here for cameras. So I think there were 4 different cameras set up. And I'm not good at head counts, but I'd say something around 30-ish people, give or take. Including those who spoke in the press conference were probably there. A lot of them were behind me, so I never really got a super good count. But, not all of them were paid to be there.
You're right.
Say. There are some people who were there on their own time. So wasn't a huge crowd, but you had a decent amount of people, and at the end had a nice round of applause because, normally as a reporter you don't applaud, but there's some moments.
Yeah.
There's some moments.
Yeah, very cool. So I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the full presser if you haven't yet, just to hear how it unfolded, the different people involved, and what they had to say about everything that unfolded over the last week. Crazy, just a week, and that he's up and walking around after what transpired. You were there in person just after it happened. You know how serious it was. And great to hear how things have unfolded since then.
Yeah.
Coming up next hour, we'll get into the coaching situation at USU. Utah Jazz, Talon Horton-Tucker had a big game last night. In the fourth quarter, we could see that the Spurs have become experts at tanking.
They've been good at that all season.
It was on full display because there were points in that game it was anybody's game until about the fourth quarter, and then the Spurs and Popovich are like, let us give you a masterclass on losing. So Jazz got the win, but we'll update the standings and what's going on there. What's the latest for Utah State basketball? Jason, you've put together kind of a tracker to keep an eye on players who may be coming and going for Utah State, both men's and women's basketball teams. So a refresher on that as well. And love to hear from you, as always, on our Full Court Press text line, 435-339-0321. If you want to call in, we'll take the call as well, 435-752-1069 here on The Fan. A little bit from Dan Patrick, and we'll be back on the top of the hour. Stick around.
And this is Above the Noise. For years, Major League Baseball has continuously fallen behind the NFL and the NBA. But for the first time in nearly a decade, baseball appears to be back. The league has made some rule changes to promote more offense. And through the use of a pitch clock, baseball has managed to cut down the duration of a game by nearly 30 minutes. To add to the league's impressive offseason, this year's installment of the World Baseball Classic was a smashing success. There were multiple games that recorded over 60 million viewers worldwide. The league's recent strides on the field, no doubt, have the sport in a better place. But the league can't afford to let its foot off the gas now, because after one of the more successful runs in recent league history, opening day is finally here. And with plenty of momentum coming into the 2023 season, baseball will have a golden opportunity to build off the league's success that's taken place over the last 6 months. Should be fun. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.